It is 6 o'clock. We will go ahead and call the meeting to order and make it all have roll call, please. One more step.
Vice President Gutierrez,
Present.
Treasurer Waitman,
Present.
Secretary Coons,
Present.
Trustee Down,
I'm here.
Trustee Figueroa,
Present.
Trustee Gardner,
Present.
Trustee Larson,
See, yes, that's here.
Trustee Ortiz,
Here.
Trustee Ross, and Trustee Walker.
Here.
Thank you, President Simeon.
Thank you. Please join me in the pledge of allegiance. Please begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, we'll move on to confirmation of agenda and corrections, additions, or additional staff. Confirmation. Additions to staff. Second. We have a motion second, we'll move on. Do public comment, Megan, any public comments?
Do you have a public comment for a non-agenda item from Brad Anderson?
Evening, Brad Anderson, City Ice Garage. The speak on non-agenda public comments number 4A briefly. I brought up the finance committee earlier that I haven't been notified of pending meetings and subcommittee meetings for a few months now, which caused me to miss a few meetings. But I was made aware that that seems to be delivered action by the district for possibility. I understand that that's not a requirement. It is, so I'm working with that. My concerns are special meetings, aspects, even media. How would they know that I'm contacted, not in the media, but I do inform a lot of people what goes on with so I would hopefully suggest maybe that in the future, and discuss what we can do. And another aspect is I have submitted some written comments for the last meeting in November and this meeting today, but there was partial items that I made a typo on the finance committee for the board email and today's email. The other ones are correct, so it appears that you may have an issue with the firewall, something that's not allowing my email to get through, which is proper places. So if you can look that up, that'd be great. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else?
We also have a public comment from Brad Anderson on 6A, 781, 73, 74, 10A, and E.
Okay. Thank you. Can I talk to you with to the river supervised staff request prior to getting public comments on this?
Okay, I do.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could possibly listen to the staff reports prior to giving my comments.
Well,
I'm sorry, this is only an opportunity for you to speak. It's not an opportunity for the board to respond. So you may go ahead move forward with your comments and perhaps Jerry or someone will get back to you.
and staff reports were included in the agenda, so you're not sure you've had a chance to read them.
Of course, I would only be, thank you. I understand that the process, but it is not justified really or reasonable. So I'll go on with city attorney recommended. Item 6 is the minutes. Item 6A. I guess I'm assuming with the minutes because I'm not representing my email that was sent earlier. So I don't know how you recognize that if you find them behind some firewall in your system. Because they were submitted on a timely process for those meetings. So I'm going to go on to reset the clock. Item number 7A. Or maybe a 1, I guess. This is concerning because yesterday I looked at your website and we had a public notice of a public meeting, or public hearing concerning this item. And then there was cancellation this morning on the website. And I really don't know how you should handle that. And I believe you dated that December sixth. So that's a costly endeavor for the district to take on by having recorded public hearings and then canceling them. I'm sure you gave notice in the newspaper. I haven't looked. But I would recommend that you go along with the public hearing and just extend it until the next meeting. Anyway, so I'm concerned about that, and I will be commenting on that by when it comes to the generator. So, we're going to 7B, please. B3. This is the resource proposal. Every year I'm torn, because the benefit assessment allows for this. But also it's not a charge to the university. This is the district that has a mission to control vectors and the boundaries of the district. And not just funding research proposals that I can honestly say I think repeat themselves, not yearly, but almost. And I see no benefit as a benefit assessment payroll for this to continue. So I know I'm fighting out there without that, but I'm opposed to that. So item number 74. Yep. And let's do the staff report. The city or attorney. I'm not in favor of this amount of money, almost $32,000 for a media campaign for a very short period of time. Really targeting tourism. I'm sure the tourism board might have an issue with that. It's just a scare tactic, fear mongering type campaign. I understand the premise behind it, but also I think the district was up. You know, I remember when you had curtains and mosquitoes down, flying out from the city, so I can tell you a lot of stories, that's as well, but you can't create a problem, especially every problem on the take care of it for you. So I recommend that you don't do that, because this is gonna harm the common region, I think, overall. So, and that's it. I only go on to item number 10. This is a closed session topic concerning the general managers. Again, I did write comments, and hopefully you see them. They're pretty critical of the current district manager. I feel that every year the budget increases, but every year the vector is or the vectors of the district here, so then out are being correlated and worse along with the disease that they may carry. And I think maybe other candidates may be the answer to that for that position. And that's what I wrote in my comments too. Even today, I was down there, down at the library down there. And they had on the signs up that there was no viruses detected in the area. So I don't know if that's something that's there yearly. Or is it really? Do you really have that kind of virus? Maybe you do, but I don't think that type of advertising or it's constructive, and that's kind of going to segue off my topic, but that's all. And I'm going to go ahead and leave now, because I can't really speak any longer. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 5, announcement presentations, direct communications.
Yeah. See here for that. feedback from Chris Brown. You're going to present, fiscal year ending June 30th, 2024. August.
He did the lights down then.
Good evening to everybody. I'm so happy to be here, this December. And, I'm here to present to you the, district's financial statements for June 30th, 2024. So on your screen, you can see that, the audit process we follow is based on auditing standards issued by AICPA. And when the district receives grants or from federal, state, or local grants, we do follow federal and state requirements when we audit those numbers. Also, accounting principles that we follow when we audit your statements is in accordance with governmental accounting standards board. By the way, the financial statements in the audit report is based on the accrual-based accounting, meaning, which means that all expenses are recognized when incurred and revenues are recognized when earned, regardless when it's paid or when monies are received by the district. Next page, please. Okay, so our audit process is governed by, our audit process, is based on the risk-based approach. So with that said, we have two phases. The first phase is, the interim field work, where we gain and understand your controls from receipts, disbursements, and your payroll cycle. And from then on, once we understand your process, we obtain a handful of transactions to test if those transactions is indeed meeting your processes and controls, whether it has proper checks and balances. And also, we do consider the risk of fraud when we perform the audit. We perform interview of your key management team, with Jeremy and David, and we also interview one of your board members. Next page. Okay, so as a culmination of all our audit process, so we have issued a modified clean opinion where your financial statement is indeed in accordance with US accepted accounting principles. And next slide. So we have also issued to the board and management, the management report, which clearly distinguished that or shows that we did not find any issues in your controls. There's proper checks and balances in the handling of all transactions that we have tested, and the district passed with flying colors. Okay, so this page shows you the net position statement, which is shown on page 13 of your audit report. And on the bottom right, on the bottom right, anyways, the total net position on the bottom right, the change in net position, there you go. Under the change column, there's a 2.8 million increase in your net position, which I will explain in the next slide. Okay, so here's your activity statement or income statement in the private world. So you can see that your overall revenues in the middle portion under the change column, it increased by $2.2 million, which can be attributable to increases in your property taxes and a good investment return year. Where you have, where there's an increase of $1.5 million and $650,000. Your expense is decreased by $1.6 million, which can be attributable to, because there was a decrease in your non-cash pension expense, from CalPERS of about $2.2 million, and which was offset by an increase in your field operations, contract agreements, and materials of roughly $600,000. As I said, these statements are based on the accrual base of accounting, which will recognize non-cash expenses as well. Next slide. So here's a summary of what I've discussed so far. So we have issued and modified your clean opinion, your net position, your overall revenue increased both by $2.8 million and $2.2 million. Your expense under the accrual base of accounting decreased by $1.6 million. Next slide. So here's your budget to actual, which is quite similar to how your monthly reports are being presented to the board. So under the last column, you can see that the last number in the last column down below, the change in fund balance is $4.9 million, which can be explained by by the district meeting your budgeted expenditure. So you spent less compared to the budget by $2.8 million. And your overall revenues in this table, you exceeded your budgeted revenue by $2.1 million, where the sum is $4.9 million. Any questions by the board or members of the public?
Any questions? Thank you.
No action is needed, just presentation and receive.
Can I just make a comment? This PowerPoint is added on the agenda next time it is. So that we're trying to avoid.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to receive file. So move.
But it's not on my question is, it's not on the public agenda. It's the one posted on the website, because I go on there, but I know that we got the email, but it's not. Yeah, it just has where.
I'm sorry, do we have a motion to approve?
Yeah, I make a motion.
Is there a second?
Okay, motion second to receive file, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and happy holidays to everybody.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the consent calendar, I'll entertain a motion to approve, that's for our changes.
So move, Rich Mirage. Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. We want to do items on 7A, old business, discussion and or approval for staff and authorizing energy service contract. Go forward to the business solution. Jeremy?
Yeah, trustee Walker, I don't know if you, we're all on the static, but I don't know if you want to mention anything about the ad hoc building committee regarding the central project, or I think before we do that.
I think we can probably discuss that when we get into the business portion.
It's actually it's 7A.
Yeah, so next.
We're there.
That 7A1.
Jeremy?
Yes.
Make a quick, correction to this agenda item description. It should say discussion, mark out and or approval. Discussion for staff to negotiate energy services contract and scope of work with Centrica Business Solutions to be presented at a public hearing in February 2025.
Okay.
So are you correcting the word finalized to negotiate?
I'm taking out the word and or approval because it's not ready for approval. There needs to be a public hearing and
Okay.
findings. And then, so therefore, it's just to negotiate, not.
Understand.
So what you're looking for today, right, is
Direction.
whether, the direction from the board, whether it's or based on what the ad hoc committee.
Correct.
did.
You have that, Megan? You're good.
So the ad hoc committee and trustee trustee Gardner or president. Staff and discuss the project with, as you can see in the agenda, the suggestion that what has occurred essentially already, that the original part of the Centrica project where the heating, ventilation, air conditioning systems were pulled out and are being handled separately by the board. Replacing the lights throughout the district with LED lighting was also possibly received and recommended to the board. What occurs in this room would be occurring along with modifications that are presented for remodeling and let's see, that's all. Okay. The committee took a look at the recommendations for the solar portions to actually separate parts. One was concept of replacing the existing computer line of the second solar project that got was placing new panels to support the biomass facility. This being done with without putting in infrastructure for electric vehicles. Also, although the ad hoc committee was told by Centrica representatives that all the new panels, if they are approved and installed, that wiring would all be good for connecting to any new system. That wiring would have to come in from IID in the future. And at this time, one of the items that was discussed was whether we could, whether the system could overbuild in essence in terms of productivity and anticipation of electric vehicles in the future. And I think the answer there was that no, you can, as far as the rebates are concerned, you can, as with residential kinds of solar, you can install production capability up to essentially what you are currently using as a district, but you can't do it and add an anticipation of future possible usage. Anybody that said that, you can feel free to step in and make your steps, not what was said, but that, so they, with a fair amount of discussion, the ad hoc committee is recommending to the full board that each of those projects and that full project is described move forward, including the solar. And there was some additional direction, the solar portion from people who attended the Cleveland staff and board, that part of the reason to move forward was because of environmental commitment on part of the district. They we are moving in the direction direction of alternative energy here for the future. Probably the biggest hesitation against doing the solar portion is the payback period, which is estimated to be approximately 18 years. Obviously, there's some unknowns there with real guesstimates based on the cost of electricity as served to us by IID versus the cost of the panels over a period of time. And there seems to be a general feeling on the committee that the cost of electricity is definitely going to go up, and chances are faster than we would like, and that would help in terms of supporting. So that's one recommendation to the board from the committee is to get each of those spaces of the project. So there is something.
Carry on with this from what Doug said. We had a very long discussion, and I want to thank Trustee Wakeman for his very thoughtful presentation that he gave us earlier that we were out of town. Kind of advocating the other way, that payback period was too long to be out there. I don't know, did you share that with everybody, or did you just?
No, I just shared it with the committee.
And you had a lot of valid points, and I appreciate it very much, and it caused us to really take a good hard look at it. And, you know, I think the general consensus from the ad hoc committee was, yeah, it's a long period payback, but the people that are that deep in the IIB issues, like Trustee Gatron and others, everybody's looking ahead at the unknown. We're peering into a black hole. We don't know what's going to happen with IIB, and we don't know how the rates, but everybody, the general consensus, the rates aren't going to go up. They're probably going to go up a lot more than what we are figuring in the initial proposal from Centrica. So if they go up that much higher, the payback certainly comes down a lot more than the 18 years that are there. But I think correct me if I'm wrong, both of you, the general consensus is that yes, it's a longer period. We don't know how much it's going to cost in the future, so that could come down. But overall, given the mandates that California has and that are coming down the pike, buying it now versus waiting certainly makes a lot more sense, because we know what the price is now. We don't know what the price is going to be down the road for the panels, the construction, labor, all of those things. And those are only going to go up as well. So we know that we're going to have to do it. So the consensus was kind of, let's do it now. Did I miss anything there, guys? So, you know, and I really do, Clive, you put a lot of thought into that, and it was very well documented, and it makes a lot of sense in a lot of situations, but given where we're at, 18 years it's been, and where my opinion may be less than that, but I think it's something that the ad hoc committee felt very strongly that we really do need to move forward on the solar piece as well as the HVAC piece and the light piece, and we're still working on the room here. It's like we'll come down the road at some point.
Perhaps just take a few minutes.
Yes.
First of all, I appreciate that I was asked to sit on the committee for that one session. And I'll say what I said at the finance committee meeting, that Jeremy and David already heard this, but I think Centrica have done a good job. And I think the committee's done a good job, and I think David deserves kudos for spearheading this for well over a year. I fully support the BMS piece at 223,000. That's a no-brainer. The LED lighting at 265,000, again, fully supported. The HVAC has been removed and being done on a piecemeal, which I think is the right direction. So it comes down to the solar at 1.8 million, as you said. My background is entirely in business. Doing a lot of very big capital projects. When I presented them to boards, if I had a payback that was anything bigger than 7 or 8 years, I knew I was not gonna get approval. Okay? We know this one is sitting at 18 years. IID, Centrica have put an inflation of 4% a year for utility rates in their proposal. I think that's probably very conservative. I think we would all reckon it's gonna be more than 4% a year, but they did know that it's gonna go up. Even if it went up to 6% on average, and I think some years might be bigger, I still think the payback period is gonna be way out there. I don't want to guess, but I would say 13, 14, 15 years at best. So I said to Jeremy and to David, as the treasurer, I look after your money, or the district's money, and I treat it as my money. And therefore I could not support going forward with the 1.8 million investment for solar. I think the payback is too long. There are too many uncertainties about IID. And I think load in energy is changing. I do appreciate the points about California and all the directions that California is heading, and the environment and EV and all those other items. But to me, 1.8 million for the district is just too big on that side of the payback. So I know I'm different vote, but I would not be moving ahead with the solar side. Thank you.
Thank you. You
So I kind of agree, I mean, I agree with Clyde 100%. I'm not a big fan. All right. So when I got on the finance committee and the board many years ago, I wasn't a fan of solar, and being on the board and the finance committee, I'm even less of a fan of solar because we've been buying inverters. We've been watching the cost of our IID bill go up, and you say, well, why? Well, because this section of panels is out, and this section is out. And one of the things I've always thought, reading these reports, seeing these bills, is who stuck us with this? What board 10 years ago stuck us with having to buy a $15,000 inverter? And one of the things that I've been watching was the bankruptcy of SunPower and how Renova is still trying to recover from that. So right now, while you guys were talking, I brought up on my computer solar contractors that went out of business. And here's the list in just 2 years. Okay, now it's saying just California contractors. Okay, that's a lot of businesses. And you just said something which I kind of agree with, which is we're peering into a black hole. And I just think that with the amount of bankruptcies that are happening and the unknowns, the black hole, I think I have a hard time sticking future boards, this 16, 18, 20-year commitment. So I'm not on board with it either. The other two, the lighting and that I am, but not the solar.
Anybody else?
The solar.
I solar is kind of. Energy policy is going to be under the new administration, so yeah, that's something to keep an eye on as well too. So
I'm happy that you're gonna keep some of the HVAC, because we saw how much actually HVAC actually costs by itself, so I need to bring that up.
well, I think we're looking for a motion.
I'll make a motion then to, direct staff to follow through with the recommendation of the ad hoc committee.
Is there a second?
So that means the recommendation is to include solar?
Yeah, for all things.
Is there a second? Motion fails for lack of a second. So try another motion.
Perhaps we could have a motion to approve project. So,
Yeah, I was gonna verify, so the way this project works is through government code section, I can't think right off the top of my head. But it requires that the energy project has to pay for itself in savings of the course of the span, so that 19-year payback. So if the board decides not to move forward, which is in their wheelhouse, is to, we'll have to go back, we'll have to basically Centrica, we're done with Centrica, and we'll have to move forward, we're gonna do the LED, we'll have to go out and do that independently and go through the bidding process. So that's where that's linked.
We would give, I mean, so we would, if the board doesn't accept going forward with the full package, you'll have to renegotiate the HVAC and the LED pieces as well.
Those items will have to be separated. This is an energy project, and the energy project is paid through the cost savings to solar. So the 90-year payback is going to pay for the lighting,
Efficiency.
Yeah, so the BMS program and all the solar, so it's all those components are going to be paid through the energy savings. If you remove the solar, the project dies, because it's an energy savings project. So those two items that's not solar, they're going to be paid through the cost savings program from solar. So it's 19 years for all of those items. That's the payback, because the savings from the solar is paying for those, the 200,000 BMS and the 200,000 lighting. So if we don't approve that, then we go ahead and just pay for these items separately. And if we pay for the BMS, well, we want to move ahead with we'll have to issue an RFP for the building management system. And we'll probably, yeah. And then the LED line will have to issue a separate RFP for that. Well, then there's one thing to think of, it's like, okay, in 2009, we installed the solar at a cost of 1.4 million, and that it included a rebate, so it's sitting on the books at $1 million. And at the moment, it's only working at a third of its capacity. So then if we don't move ahead with replacing that, are we just going to let that wind down and then dispose of it? So those are things to think about. But this project, if we don't approve even just the replacement of the solar, because I mean, the bare minimum of this project is the replacement of the solar, what's out there. And I know we'll be talking about 1.8 million, but there is a 580,000 Inflation Reduction Act rebate, which will come in at the next calendar year once the project is complete. So that will take it down to net 1.3 million. So overall, the project's run about 1.8 million. All of that will be paid for through the savings from solar. So that's why it's an energy project. It's not just like you can choose those two components and not choose the solar. If you don't choose the solar, it's dead. But we could revise it down and just do the replacement of solar and the two components, and that would pay for itself. But what we present tonight is replacement of the solar and expansion of the solar.
Question. Did the ad hoc committee understand when you met that if we fail to approve the solar of this project, Senator is dead? Did you understand?
yes, we did. Yes, I understand.
And, you know, again, not to beat a dead horses or if we don't move forward now, costs are just gonna keep going up. And, you know, we send staff out to restart this whole thing, rebid it, try to figure out a way to do the BMS and the HVAC piece of it, which are desperately needed, as well as replacing the fan solar panels. I think we're gonna end up even paying more in the short run because we won't be able to package it as an energy savings. I don't know what you wanna call it, so the package.
So we're back at square one with respect to negotiating.
The solar now, and we're back to square one, which is gonna add time and dollars, is the further out pushes.
Okay,
And
so the ad hoc supports moving forward with solar and staff supports moving forward with solar. Understand?
And a quick question, I don't recall an answer to this, at the committee meeting, and that is, if the board decided to move forward with the project, including solar, whether the rebates, which are obviously factored into the payback, whether those in essence would be guaranteed, but there may be a change in energy, rebates coming up with or the future, not necessarily the distant future. That really wasn't discussed.
I don't remember going into detail on the rebate, but it wasn't that in the company, because that factors into the entire package later.
Because that's the only way we would get something back from our investment.
Yeah.
That was the only thing. We couldn't move on the rest of it because
Yeah.
we don't have anything to show you.
But this for replacing the solar, the tax incentive was 232,000. And then if we decided to move forward with expansion, it was another 353, so it was about 550,000 total.
Is that a state refund that's a little more secure or
It's a
a federal?
It's federal.
Federal.
So like, that was the return if we move forward.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing I'll add, and it's been a good process, a long process, and I appreciate Clive's feedback on it, is that, I mean, and I said this before, I mean, yeah, I understand the payback period is long, but from the standpoint, I mean, it's a shame that we're gonna, I mean, the alternative is, yeah, that's kind of the question, do we letting the solar array just go by the wayside, but we are a public health agency. Using solar as a clean, renewable energy that does impact the community. We're giving back to the community as I understand it. We're gonna be, and as a district, we've have made strides in being self-sufficient. We created a lab that costs many millions of dollars, that has allowed us to deliver, I would say, in a little biased, the best public health integrated vector management program. And I think, in my opinion, I think it, not only do we have the funds to do it, I think it benefits our community. We're not, by doing our programs, we're environmentally conscious. We are making sure we're making a limited impact that we do, and the energy we use makes an impact in our programs. So, in my opinion, for what it's worth, I mean, entertain at least replacing what we have so that system is functional. I know I reached out to the CV Water District, Jim Barrett, who's deep in the negotiations between this lease that's coming up and his, because after the concern about what's gonna happen after the lease agreement goes under. And that conversation is only gonna get worse because the infrastructure is not there to support the need, and someone's gonna have to bear that cost, so I can only imagine rates are gonna go up. Anyways, that's my 2 cents for what it's worth, but it's a good productive work.
Okay, I think I understand a little bit more. Gary, my suggestion is make the motion again, you'll get a second.
I'll make the same motion again.
Reggie Ross seconds.
Okay, there's a motion and a second. Any further discussion? And that's for staff to negotiate service contract.
And then I'll bring it back.
I just have one question, if I may. If we do not, can we exclude the new solar and just do the replacement? We can't. So I guess the question would be, what does it look like with items, LED building replacement versus all 4?
Well, and if this motion passes, they can negotiate.
That's what I'm saying.
Right.
I just like to make sure that everybody's tuned.
Right. And it still has to go for a public hearing. And they need to negotiate that.
So that would be my own comment to that. I mean, we're doing our due diligence, so see what happens.
Like that.
Good, all right. Okay, there is a motion and a second. Any further discussion? If not, make it roll call.
President Bennett,
Yes.
Vice President Gittrell,
Yes,
Treasurer Waitman,
No,
Secretary Coons,
yes,
Trustee Down,
Yes.
Trustee Figueroa,
I abstain.
Trustee Gardner,
Aye.
Trustee Larson,
Abstain.
Trustee Ortiz,
Abstain.
Trustee Ross, and Trustee Walker.
Motion carries. So I'll come back next month.
Yeah, that was to come back with a negotiated contract with the existing and expanded solar. Is that correct?
Or getting rid of the new solar.
so you have 4 items listed
Yeah,
here.
so that's coming back with 2 options. One is it?
Right.
Yes, sir.
Okay, okay,
Because the whole issue is, do we just take care of what we have now, or do we have?
okay, thank you.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to new business. Item number 1 is discussion and or approval of resolution 2416 providing a normal bidding procedure of uniform public construction costs.
Construction cost account is a voluntary program enacted in 1983. It's available to all public agencies in California. It only applies to those public agencies that have opted in. The act allows for public project work in the amount of $60,000 or less to be performed by the public agency's force account or purchase order. Public projects in the amount of $200,000 or less may use the all formal bidding procedures. Public projects that cost more than $200,000 may use formal bidding procedures. So for us, for the district, adopting this resolution will simplify the way the district bids for public works projects. The work less than $60,000, the district can make use of a purchase order rather than a formal bid. The work over $60,000 or less than $200,000, we should use informal or formal bidding procedures, and anything over $200,000 will be back to the formal bids. Currently, what we have now, any public works projects over $25,000 has to be bid. The benefit of adopting this uniform public construction cost account act will save the district time to do informal bidding and can expedite public projects over $200,000. And adopting this resolution, it doesn't change the purchasing limits of the purchasing policy. Any project over $25,000 will still need board approval. Any questions?
if I could just add from the finance committee, we spent a fair bit of time working with David, reviewing that in the 4:30 meeting. And subject to a few minor tweaks, the finance committee approved what David is recommending.
Just waiting for Mr. Pittman to come back. He's back.
Okay. Discussion.
First and second.
Yeah. Is there a motion?
I'll raise the motion.
Second. Motion is second. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Okay, item number 2, discussion and or approval, resolution 2024-18, implementing the April regulations to the executive. Megan.
Wow.
You know, in the past, I very long, but I know that there has been issues sometimes with getting participation from all trustees. Myself and the executive committee came up with a system, a rotational system. It wouldn't go in place, obviously, this year. It would take effect next year. It would rotate every 2 years, and we would rotate in or out. And new trustees would not be in the rotation for a year after their appointment.
Moving to a rotational system, and it's kind of a comment, and there were, the question and it's a comment here. I really appreciate the executive committee and the time that it takes to do that. And speaking only for myself in this case, a lot of other committees, a lot of other appointments that I have, I really enjoy this one, and I'm intending to stay on it. But in the past, having been asked to serve on the executive committee, I don't have the extra time commitment for that. And if you go to a rotational system, what happens when you're turned at the, I mean, can you say, well, no, I'm not still gonna do it, like, you can skip over me, or does you just automatically come down there?
There's flexibility.
Exactly, I think it gives more of the opportunity to rotate. If you prefer to do it, if you don't have time, you can decline, obviously, we're not gonna make you sit on the executive committee or whatever, if you don't have time, but, you know, just so it makes it kind of.
No, I'm all that. We've had in the past, as you know, other commissions and boards across this valley where we've had chairs sit for 10, 12 years, and then we gradually got most of them to move to a sort of rotational system. So I don't think we ever had a problem with that either.
No, we have, and then maybe we're talking about not just 25,
No.
all of 26.
Correct. And current appointments wouldn't count towards that, like President Penez and Vice President Patron, that wouldn't count towards.
And what month do we cycle those out?
January.
Okay.
And do our terms and census.
Yeah.
So we go by calendar, but our budget goes by.
Yeah.
So, if you pressure me to be president of this board, I would quit. I am not like you elected officials. I hate public speaking. As you see, I get nervous when I do. I would quit. So I'm not trying to buck the system, but I'm telling you that there are certain people that want to serve, but don't want to be the leader, okay?
Right.
So I think I heard when you say, if you decline and you've got a good reason, but if I don't have that out, I would quit.
No, and I think that's what we decided, that we have that out. You know, because people are busy, you know, and.
It's not a busy issue with me. It's sitting there and all eyes on me.
Right, but, you know, we do have that, you're not gonna be forced to take a position.
So, I think I understand the intent of this proposal. And I feel fortunate to have had an opportunity to serve on this board for a number of years. And, had a chance to serve on the executive committee in each of the different positions. And, well, let me share just a couple thoughts on this. And I think this board has been particularly good at encouraging new trustees, as well as those that have been on for a while, to get involved. But it can be either, well, for treasurer, it would seem to help if a person either comes in with a sort of specialized background that someone like Clyde has had. And we've asked him to serve for 4 years on the board as treasurer, because of the job that he's been doing. And if someone has an opportunity to serve on the committee first, get a couple years of experience with, that's probably the most complex committee that we have. Then a person is probably better suited to be able to fill in as treasurer, move into that position. And so it's kind of like along Vito's concern that not everybody's going to feel comfortable being the president of the board. And it's been really kind of fun to see how how non-political this board is, and that people, when they come on, truly have said, we're here to represent the district and the people throughout the district in terms of policy decisions that we're able to make. And my experience has been from serving both on the board and on the nominating committee, is it's been a challenge at times to find people to serve for a variety of reasons. We have great people on this board, but people have life outside this board. Some of the jobs, some of the city council role and the multi responsibilities you have associated with it. And sometimes these things happen in life that, oops, this is not a good year for me or you or whomever. And the person becomes unavailable to serve. I've also seen in some cases, relatively rapid turnover of trustees. And, that would tend to complicate a rotation system per se. I'm not sure, I can see that in a city council setting where you have 5 people on the board or some other smaller committees, but 11-person board with a variety of appointments. I think that it's really healthy to get people involved, and that's been encouraged. But I don't think that a rotation system would really serve this board well. And part of that's probably just being an old country boy and going about kind of the same road.
Well, I think,
I don't think it's for anything. Those are just some.
I think the rotation works in the vice president and president role, like you do one term, your vice president and individual will just succeed, so that way everyone gets a chance to fit in those roles if they think. But the treasurer, you know, who have Ms. Wayman is a fantastic treasurer. And when you want to replace someone, background, find someone that's their niche, like. Unless someone else can, you know, because it is a nomination process, right? You just have to look at your service if you want to nominate yourself for that role. Then people just nominate you over and over because you bring a good perspective, and then Vito said, probably like, if you don't want to talk, so.
And echoing what Mr. Figueroa said too. And this is another personal observation, really, but I think that executive committee board positions should be based on merit. We've all gone through meetings where people have rotated in chairs that really shouldn't be there. You know, we all of us are on city council that have rotational, and we've all seen that, right? Yeah. So I think it should be based on merit. And again, I hadn't thought about the high turnover. You're right about that, you know. So I think what we ended in a situation where we've got 7 brand new members and nobody, you know. We've excluded them because they have to be there for a year, right? So I have some hard work with this one.
I think the whole intent was looking at it from staff, was trying to fill in the gaps. Because she and her predecessors have had challenges,
Yeah.
you know, training in stuff, being able to attend meetings. And I think the unique thing about this group is that it's very diverse. Some are elected, some are community appointed. Some are representatives of the cities, city managers and staff, and it constantly rotates. And we're also very fortunate that Mr. Ortiz, he's a member of the public, or he works for, he's all over the place. Or Mr. Figueroa, who teaches, and he's at the university, he travels all the way back here. He has to travel in every day. So everybody has different dynamics. And I think it's sometimes she being with Jeremy and Megan are looking for a way that they can refer to a book and realize, hey, what are my options? Instead of waiting for the next week. So we should look at it as it's a tool for them to work with. To me, we look at it, but I mean, they could maybe pick up the phone and talk to the president and say, I'm in a jam. Can you help me? Or, you know, I think they're just looking, it's a template to go by, but it's the template has freedom to do other things. So. And that's the way it was brought to me. And so that's the only reason I looked at it, to help staff.
But things that's helping staff help us in terms of, it's our responsibility as the board and individual trustees to be willing to step forward and work with the have office. They'll have the flexibility of whoever's on the executive committee handle it under special occasions, somebody that has expertise that I think they staff would reach out to seek any sort of help with guidance, ideas. Without, I really think the rotational system would be probably every one, but I really think it would be cumbersome here just with the general makeup and operation of the board. With the understanding that whoever is serving our best to try and make sure we get, a variety of people to take advantage of the expertise that are brought by, different parties to, that, of course.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the board? Do we want to try it and see how it works? We can always change it.
No, we have to have a motion.
Yeah. I'm looking for-
Harrison, she said.
Motion, is there a second?
Second. The motion is to approve or
Approve the rotational system for appointments.
But with the condition of what some of the comments were. Flexibility.
What's the bill?
You know, then the resolution.
No, we just did other comments. If everybody concurs. It was first, so if the first concurs with that, it follows.
Yeah,
So what was the friendly amendment?
It has
it
flexibility.
has flexibility. Rotational system.
Based on the comments that were made by the trustees.
Yeah, there's a motion. There's a motion. And a second.
Second.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
no. Yeah, can we have a roll call?
Roll call.
Roll call.
President Kenya,
Yes.
Vice President Buchon,
Yes.
Treasurer Wakeman,
Yes.
Secretary Coons,
Yes.
Trustee Downs,
Yes.
Trustee Figueroa,
No.
Trustee Gardner,
No.
Trustee Larson,
Abstain.
Trustee Ortiz,
Yes.
Trustee Ross, and Trustee Walker.
No.
Motion carries.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we'll move on to item number 3, the approval of the 2025 research proposal in the amount not to exceed $152,813.03. It will be expensed in fiscal year 24-25. Jennifer.
Good evening, board and colleagues and members of the public. Thank you so much for allowing me to bring this to your meeting and to seek your input on this. The research committee met on Friday, and we have had a research program for longer than I've been with the district. So it's at least 15 years old, and it may be longer than that. You'll forgive me for not knowing my history. We do have very talented and smart people across the district in all sorts of ways that are working to improve our district on a routine basis. We also will look at published research and figure out ways to adapt certain projects and things for the district. But there has been a longstanding tradition that the board has supported of having researchers come to the district and make our district better. We have a unique climate that we don't see a lot of research on. We have St. Louis encephalitis virus, where we're not seeing a lot of research on in other places. We have red imported fire ants in the desert, which is not normal. And so we are really fortunate that we've been able to have such a program. The research committee routinely reviews all of these projects as they come in, figures out which ones are going to be the most beneficial for the district, and then brings those to you as a board to review. The full report is on page 88 of the packet. You'll see that this year we had 5 proposals that were submitted to us. The committee agreed that 4 of those proposals are going to benefit the district in different ways. These projects include red imported fire ant control, 2 different projects on St. Louis encephalitis virus, and 1 project on repellents in storm drains, which we have a lot of and a lot of problems with. I'm happy to answer questions about those or about the project that the committee did not suggest to fund, or any other questions that you have.
Thank you. Any questions for Jennifer? Motion and a second. All in favor?
I just have to make a
comment.
reference. So the funding for Mr. Alan Gary, I work for the UC system and specifically the campus that he researches at, and I have no monetary gain is awarded for it.
Okay, with that, brings the motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained, motion carries unanimously. Okay, we'll move on to item number 4. Approval to enter an agreement with Outfront Media.
And a little back or history on this, we had a research project in 2023 with hard data, and something that came out of that research project was a lack of awareness of who we are as a district and what our services are district-wide. So the campaign in this conference specifically is without our media to put up some billboards in parts of the valley. So when that's we're entering the valley on the I-10, and maybe on Aperture Arena boards. These will be up there from September 1st to November 23rd, specifically targeting or highlighting AIDS Jedi that coincide with that time period. And this is going to be part of our fall 2025 campaign. Reason why it's so complicated is because we have to reserve these boards in space far in advance. And some of these are some prime locations that we want to make sure that we are able to utilize during this campaign.
I'll make the motion, but I was just wanting to thanks for getting this done in advance because, yeah, I think all of that billboard, I drive it every day, and that one is like the person you catch driving. This is electronic. I have a notion I think you guys better than I don't know ones that this one doesn't have as many, but it's like visible, and you're like, oh, what's that big thing on the tape? And it's like, that's it, it's well interesting, and then. Yeah, I make a motion.
Okay, there's motion
I do have a question. For how long is gonna be this campaign for?
So this fall campaign is going to go from September 1st to November 23rd, 2025. It's a total of 12 weeks. 12 weeks.
Just,
At the executive, committee, I know that we, talked about maybe reaching out to the tribes and using our data reports as well too, to see if they might be able to, listen. Reports as well too. If not, I'm happy to about.
The other one, I'm sorry.
I was just gonna mention the same thing that Chairman Bennett said, is that not just the tribes, but all the agencies, like the cities that have reader boards or message boards of any kind. They should also do this at no cost because it's part of the public witness and education.
So most cities have those, like because of the CVAC, they have those welcome signs.
Yeah.
So I'm wondering if you can, like you said, reach out and say, high radius of ages, that'll freak people out, but and still like,
Whatever quick message they have, like the I-10 Alamo one, that can be done because the city has ownership to it.
Yeah.
The one city in India has
I'm going to the town, so you know.
India better support it, right?
But that's Palm Springs has one at the entrance where you come down, so you can probably get up to do some like, remember where you're, mosquito season, for more info there here.
Yeah, and these ads are only part of that entire campaign. Some other things that we're looking at is also that the airport and also other advertisement along Cat City within the cities. That's just a different companies, Lamar. So that would be something further along. This is because of that spacing and that prime location. But definitely we're looking to reach out to these cities and hopefully get our message out there.
You should continue to address feathers and mosquitoes and going after it. That's.
Sounds good. Yeah.
Okay, there was a motion second, on favor.
I'm sorry, you have another one.
Oh,
Hi.
sorry.
Are you familiar with that HARC study we paid for?
I've read through it, yes.
So I thought our biggest area where we were least known was East Valley.
So that's actually part of our spring 2025 campaign. And that again came with the awareness issue, not a lot of people know who we are. Demographics are similar to certain portions of West Valley, Cat City, being one of them, and with our events out there, I still the same message that we're taking. Feedback that we're getting from people, they just don't know that we exist, and they don't know who we are. And part of us being out in the valley, and events such as the parade that we were at, is getting people to know who we are as a district.
Okay, so, are you thinking this professional marketing campaign can do west side and you guys here in-house will do east side? Or are you gonna come back with a professional marketing idea for the east side using the casino's boards or?
So, that's already, in the works, for those who are using the more, we're using, different ads on, Thermal, Mecca, and the 86. Those, are smaller, portions, so those have already been approved and signed. And that campaign is set to launch, February 3rd. The one on the 86 and the ones within Thermal, Coachella, and Thermal, Coachella, and Oasis will launch, March 17th. So that's.
And how often do you approach all the marketing or media outlets and say, hey, we'd like this one to be a community service, we want it free?
That could be an approach, like asking them, there's even, we're not a nonprofit, so that we don't necessarily offer for that pricing. We have kind of discounts because of our agency, but we don't have that profit aspect to us. So it has been asked, some of them have been understanding of it, but.
Yeah, if we could just make sure that everything we blast out, we ask first, hey, can you make this a public service announcement? Right, just so we're doing our due diligence to get the cheapest price.
Yes.
That'd be great.
Okay, there was motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Carries unanimously. Then on to committee and trustee reports, I don't have anything to add to the executive committee, I will discuss it here tonight. Also need to, sort of that opportunity for chief out.
Good work.
Right. Okay.
Megan, can you put up the year, June slide first? That's not the slide. That's the auditor. I'm going to present two things today. The auditor gave you a very quick snapshot with a lot of figures and everything else. I've stated to put together. Can I see the yellow PowerPoint first, please, Megan? And could David, can you do the lights down again for us? This is just a snapshot of where we ended up on June the 30th. Figure down on the bottom right side, which was the net profit versus budget, showing 2.6 million. And I guess I have to start with a sincere apology from the finance committee. We were nowhere near that figure. As we went through the year, we started we could be 750,000, then we got to 1 million, then we got to about 1.3 million. So apologies that we were pretty bad at estimating that 2.6. Having said that, if you look in the detail, that variance really comes from two items. The very top one, which is revenue, and David informs me we were 11.2% over budget. And as you know, we don't really control that with the recipient of the income. David does his best guess, and rightly so, is always a little bit conservative. But clearly that came in at almost 1.8 million over, huge. Okay. On the expense side, it's pretty good. There's only one item in there that really looks for attention, and that's the 800,000 payroll. The others, give or take, admin, utilities, operations, all within plus or minus $50,000, which is damn good given the size of the figures. The payroll one, we knew we were going to be very favorable. As you know, all the way through the year, we were understaffed. Then we had the early retirement program, which led to even more understaffing. But I think we're always a little bit shy of being at $750,000. And again, I know David's always very conservative on that side. But we've discussed in the finance committee, there is always a lag in some of these figures. And I think when you get to the year end, the lag catches you up. So I just wanted you to be aware of those figures. And I am sure they're not going to be anywhere near that size for this current fiscal year. Be really surprised if the revenue is that far over budget or the expenses in total are that far under budget. Particularly given the union agreement, which we knew is estimated to cost us maybe 400,000. So with that, I would like to move to the second chart, which is the one we normally see. The net income year to date in November is sitting at about 444,000. Again, the solid green line shows where we are. The budget is the shaded area. So we're sitting about 400,000 at the net income line favorable. Again, to repeat though, lots of timing in that. About 220,000 of that is payroll timing. So that cuts that in half. When we review the rest, a lot of it is in items that are just time dependent. Legal fees, professional fees, charges for the web, things of that nature. So my report at this point in time is we're probably just about on budget. Ignore that 440,000, so we're on budget. Okay. But again, let me reiterate, as you go on through the year, recognize that payroll is going to likely end up with a negative 400,000 to 500,000 in that way. So there needs to be very clear focus on the revenue to offset that or other expenses to bring it back into budget. The committee did review all the normal other things this afternoon, the check reports, the Calcutta report. Again, a few questions, but nothing major to report that was unforeseen. And that's the report from the treasurer.
Thank you. You know, I just like to say that I truly appreciate your efforts and the fact that you really give us the information as it's presented. This is Clyde's last meeting today. Serving.
And all this does it well for the guy that is really that, but unfortunately.
Thank you guys, appreciate it.
Although I did note in there that we're way over, and I've kind of got the same amount as this extra solar stuff. So.
I think that's what Jeremy said, we got the cash. I'm enjoying it, guys, I very much appreciate it, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to trustee.
These are huge shoes to fill.
Yes.
And I look at all the members here, and who's gonna be willing to step up to the plate and do what Five's done. It's really been a pleasure to serve with you, Clive.
Thank you.
Well, it goes back to the bill said yesterday, if somebody gets it, they're probably quit.
And I know that we've talked about it, and he's already met with his replacement a couple of times.
Yeah.
So it's kind of building that and kind of getting the public things.
And he supports it.
Yeah.
I do.
Yeah.
He's meeting Jeremy on Thursday to get fully indoctrinated.
Well, it has been a real pleasure. I don't know what 5.
There we go.
You're a class act.
Thank you, makes more time to volunteer attendance and.
Yes,
art shows
yeah.
Things like that too.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, with that, move on to trustee comments and questions for your agenda items, travel. And
Want to just get through us to the district team going out on Friday, the Coachella parade. They're second place in the Coachella parade. So I have their trophy in the house because I forgot to bring it. So if they don't want to come to the next meeting, so they can all have their trophy. Though they're second place in a movie unit. We gotta meet the cheerleaders next time, so.
So trustee Fairbrother, you said they left the state?
They left this thing and that, so, but you know, I took a picture with them and, you know, they were saying they got really good feedback because I think it's a visualization of what the district does and people are like, oh, okay, let's keep them. So then it gives them a visualization of the work that the district does and, you know, and being able to know that they're, this is the work that they're doing, so. It was a good impact, and of course, you know, the kids like the mosquito outfits and they have the off-road vehicle, and it was really good, so hopefully you all enjoyed participating in it, and, you know, next year we can all go to the Palm Springs Lights Parade and get a different type of crowd from both sides, but I think that's, you know, it's, getting the East Valley marketing, that was really important, because you get a lot of people out there, so.
They've been doing it for 5 years. The kids love the interaction.
Yeah.
Thanks. Jeremy. There you go. There you go. One more.
Yes.
Yeah.
We have some comments.
Good.
I don't know who managed the Facebook page for the district, but is that you, Robert?
That's our team.
Okay, you guys did a really good job. I follow you guys and then all the videos that you guys post and then introducing employees, stuff like that. I really love the content, it's really well put, so congratulations on that. And then lastly, so I'm in the U.S. Army sport, so I haven't had the pleasure to work with military women for a long time, but for the few minutes that I've been here, like I have seen the professionalism that you bring and the knowledge you bring to the sport, so you want to be like fruitful, so.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Good. Yeah. Facebook, we get our, thank you. Go ahead.
Yeah, just a couple of quick announcements, and focused on saying the weekly emails to folks. Hopefully, if there's something you've seen there or would like more information on, please let me know. Just a couple of updates. We have started work on the insulation and HVAC improvement for our shop building, so that's underway, and that's something the board approved earlier this year. Our shade structure will be in hopefully in the new year. We've hit a couple of snags here and there, but we're working on getting that shade structure set up. So if you're coming to the end of the season party, which I know you're all aware of, you will not be having it under the shade structure, but it will be here in the administration building. So let's see. Just as a brief reminder, we are doing the district-wide winter break. That was part of the negotiations process, so the district will be closed from the December 23rd through the 1st. And outside of animal care and things like that, we'll be back on the 2nd. And the last that I already mentioned was end of the season party. Staff has been working hard on getting that set up. It's your favorite decade or eras tour if you're a Taylor Swift fan. You can come dressed as your favorite era. That'll start at 11:30 on Friday, and be there to the avenue, I'm sure. This Friday, yeah. At 11:30. And it'll be food and potluck, I believe. So yeah, kind of getting back to how it used to be back in the days before 2020. And that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any questions? Okay, if not, we'll move on to general counsel.
Thank you. So we need to move into closed session. Item 10A is public employee, performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, Title General Manager. And item B, conflicts with labor negotiators pursuant to Government Code Section 54957.6, agency designated representative, President John Kenya, Vice President Benjamin Petron, and Trustee Felipe Ortiz. Unrepresented employee is General Manager.
Thank you both.